Hi, welcome to my new channel. My name is Natalka and my channel is Cooking with Natalka. So my mother-in-law came across this recipe on Facebook. She thought they looked delicious, so she shared it on her Facebook and I found it. I love butter tarts, so I thought I would give this a try. I will make sure that I link it in all of my social media so that you can find it and give it a try too. Okay, so first up is making the crust for these butter tarts. It says to use a half a cup of margarine, 1 cup of flour, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. First of all, I don't like to use margarine, so I am going to use a half a cup of butter, and I always use salted butter. And then I am going to put in my 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I am gonna head over to the mixer and let that mix up before I add the flour. So I have the crust base ready. It's kind of crumbly like a cookie dough. And I am going to put it in a 9 by 9 inch pan. I'm gonna spray it first. A little bit of pan. All right, now we're gonna press the crust into it. It's all pressed into the pan. I have been preheating my oven to 350 and now I'm going to put the crust in for 15 minutes, and while it is baking I am going to make the filling. Timer is set. It says 15 minutes. While that is baking, we are going to make the filling. 3 eggs. My eggs are at room temperature and it says to slightly beat the eggs. Next, it says 1.5 cups of brown sugar. I did a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which I happen to make myself because it's way better and cheaper. And I made this vanilla out of whiskey with vanilla beans, and it's been sitting in the cupboard for probably 6 months, maybe longer, about 8 months. So it's really, really strong. It's really good. And then I also have a cup of raisins. It does say, I think, a cup or 1/2 cup of walnuts or something, but I really do not like nuts in my desserts. We got our slightly beaten eggs. We're gonna add our sugar. We're gonna mix it up. Looks good. We are going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Going to add our baking powder and our salt. And I think I'll mix in like some of the raisins, and then the rest of them, when I pour it into the pan, I'm just gonna sprinkle them on top. I'm kind of hoping that they don't all just fall to the bottom. Everything is mixed. We are ready to pour it into our pan on top of our crust. All right, it's cooled enough. I've left it for about 5-10 minutes now. We're gonna just mix up our filling once more, make sure it's all well combined. Pour it over. Almost ready. Those raisins that I saved, I'm just gonna sprinkle them on top, because I did notice the rest of them fell to the bottom, so I'm hoping these will stay on top. Done. Let's get it back into the oven for another 20 minutes. I have been letting these butter tarts cool for probably about 2 hours now while I took Max to the park. All right, let's cut them. So you just saw me try and cut them and somehow scoop them out of the pan. This is what they look like. I don't think I would serve this to anybody because it looks like a pile of gooey mess. Not to say it's not a good gooey mess, it's just a pile of mess. Let's try it. Here's my thoughts. It's gritty. The sugar didn't dissolve. It's still that gritty texture. It's not smooth. I don't know, maybe I didn't let it sit long enough. Maybe I should throw it in the fridge, see if it really hardens up. But trying to cut it, it makes a mess. It was really hard to get out of the pan. Even though I sprayed it to help it so that it wouldn't stick to the pan, it still did. That cookie part, it's kind of mushy now. This one is definitely a fail. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I didn't let it sit long enough. But give it a try and let me know in the comments how you did. Butter tart recipe that I made did not turn out the first time. So now we are gonna give it a try again. To get started, let's make our crust base. I'm still gonna do, instead of margarine, I'm gonna do butter, the 1 cup of flour, and the 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. The difference that I'm gonna make in it is I am gonna use cold butter, the 1 cup of flour, the 2 tablespoons brown sugar, and I'm gonna add just a hint of vanilla. So it's very crumbly. I'm gonna add a little bit of ice water to it just to help it form into a nice dough. I went and got a bigger mason jar lid. I'm gonna just dip it in flour, cut out 6 circles. All right, there's my 6. Now we're gonna put them in our muffin trays. Okay, our muffin trays are ready. We'll see how much sauce it makes and then roll this out again. And if I need to make more, I'll make more. This time I am not going to pre-cook those. I kind of wonder if that was part of my problem before. It was pre-cooked and then when it got cooked again with everything on top, it just made it mushy and just not good. So this time, no pre-cooking. My oven is preheated to 350. So let's go and make the sauce now. The changes I am gonna make to the sauce is I am adding a 1/2 cup of butter and I'm gonna melt it down. And then I am going to add my 1.5 cups of brown sugar. I am changing it. Not only am I adding butter, I am gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of white vinegar. I wanna try and break down the sugar so it's not so gritty this time. I'm gonna let that simmer a little bit, see if it'll break down the sugar. Our sauce just started simmering, so I'm gonna remove it from the heat. Keep mixing it a little bit. And then we are gonna let this cool down just a little bit, enough that when we go to add the eggs, it doesn't curdle the eggs or cook them really fast. But while it is cooling, I can add a little bit of vanilla to it. And I am gonna add a teaspoon of it. I have let our mixture cool for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. I had to take it out of the pot and put it in a bowl because my pots keep everything hot for probably about 2 hours. So anything I make, I've got to switch it out of the pot and into something else. So we're gonna try adding the eggs and hopefully they'll blend well and my mixture isn't too hot. So I have 2 eggs instead of 3 and I have lightly beaten them. And we're gonna add them really slowly while whisking the whole time. And I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. I did an 1/8 only because I used salted butter. I am not mixing my raisins in this time. I am gonna sprinkle them on top. Last time they all fell to the bottom, which I'm sure they'll still do. So let's put it in our muffin tins. So we're just gonna pour about a spoonful in each. All right, let's add some raisins. Okay, they look good. So the original recipe said to bake it for 20 minutes. I'm gonna start with about 20 minutes and see how it goes from there, because I want to make sure the little crusts underneath are cooked. So into the oven they go. All right, so we know the last recipe, the butter tarts I did the first time in a square 9x9 pan. They didn't turn out. They were very gritty. The bottom was soggy. They didn't turn out. Don't know what else to say. So I revamped it a little bit and we're gonna try it, see if this turned out any better. So first, you know what? I'm glad I didn't pre-cook the little shells that they're in. I overfilled them, so they kind of bubbled up and over. So when I was trying to get them out of the pan, I kind of made a mess of them. But looks don't always matter. It's how it tastes. So let's find out. Oh my God, so much better. Oh, way, way better. Okay, one more change. Use 1 tablespoon of vinegar, or even start with a half a tablespoon and add more as needed. I wouldn't go over 1 tablespoon though. It does give it a slightly more like zing to it, which I don't mind, but it's smooth, not gritty, not that, yeah, it's not gritty. It's awesome, it turned out really well. I'm glad I remade them, and you know what, it is what it is. They're not pretty, but they taste pretty damn good. So I'm very pleased with myself. I don't think I'll make them again, only because you know what, I just don't mesh with them. I'd rather go and buy them. But I'm happy that I tried it, and I love butter tarts, so I will enjoy eating these, and I'll share them with my friends as well. So yeah, on to the next recipe. Thanks for watching. Remember, hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and I will see you for our next recipe. Bye!